Hello everybody, welcome to Tarkir Dragonstorm and our set review. As always, we have Yanks on the call. We're going to be going over every single white card in today's video and giving it a rating between 1 and 10 based on how we think it's going to perform in the average limited deck. That's both sealed and draft, and again, highly synergistic cards sometimes take a little bit of a hit. Now, if you guys missed our introduction to Tarkir Dragonstorm, make sure you guys check that out. We go over new mechanics, returning mechanics, draftable archetypes, all the important stuff you need to know to go to your local store for your pre-releases and releases, so you guys have the best opportunities to get some wins. Yanks, are you excited about this set?
Yeah, I know I mentioned this in the intro, but this is the set I'm most looking forward to this year. So
All right.
we'll see how it looks.
I'm excited. This is a set you and I both liked in Limited originally for Cons of Tarkir. So I expect you're going to be quite knowledgeable on a lot of the information lore stuff. You tend to be pretty good once you get excited about a set.
Yeah, I mean, we got that right away with the first card with one of the old clan leaders coming back.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Anafenza, Unyielding Lineage, 3 mana, 2/2 with Flash, first strike, and whenever another non-token creature you control dies, Anafenza endures 2, which we went over in the intro, but just quick buff up, you get to either put 2 counters or make a 2/2 spirit. Straightforward, I like her. I like her a lot.
Good card. I like you can see from the watermark on the card that this is, the Abzan clan leader. You get the Abzan watermark there, but it can be played in any white deck. Anytime you get Flash and First Strike, that's just looking for, eating attackers as an ambush blocker.
Yeah, and even if you're not doing it, you could do it in response to someone blocking a bunch of your stuff because she doesn't have haste, so you could just flash her in after blocks are declared and that you're going to lose some creatures in combat, and you get to put a bunch of counters on things, which is really cool. Or, in response to removal. Yeah, I think she's an excellent body. She's a 3 mana 2/2 is not great, but with Flash and Flying, I think that's super solid. And with the bonus ability that triggers multiple times, I think this is a pretty overpowering card. I'd give this an 8.
I like it in that range too. I also just, from like you said, a lore standpoint, I like the callback. Right, Anafenza was the Abzan clan leader in Khans of Tarkir. All 3 of her cards now, they're all +1/+1 counters. The one from Khans of Tarkir, Dragons of Tarkir, and now Tarkir Dragonstorm. That's kind of just the theme of that clan.
It's also important to note that what she's doing is powerful, getting those counters, making extra tokens over and over again, but it's not just powerful on its own. It's actually going to be synergized with all of your other cards in Abzan. Even if you're only in partial Abzan, you're going to get more benefits from all of those other cards because she's in your deck. So your rating was also an 8?
Yes.
All right, moving on.
Got a Ration Sunshield, 3 and a white for a 3/4 human warrior. When this creature enters, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. White, tap target creature. I feel like we've seen 1 mana tappers in a while.
Yeah, I don't hate them. One of my very first decks as a kid had a lot of tappers. I forget the name of it. I think it was from Judgment. Nomad Trapper, I think. Anyway,
sounds right.
Not super relevant. 1 mana tappers is fine. 3/4 for 4 is fine. Also, we've seen this when it enters, exile 2 target cards from a single graveyard, be relevant. More and more relevant in the last few sets with a lot of flashback and things. But you might want to be exiling stuff from your own graveyard because that's a mechanic here in the set. And then also you might want to be removing cards that have pseudo flashback in Harmonize from your opponent's graveyards as well. So I actually think that 3 mana 4 mana 3/4s are never very exciting, but this one I think is going to actually be very playable.
Yeah, a relevant ETB effect, not just Harmonize but also Renew from the Sultai clan, getting rid of some of that stuff. It can also enable some cards, right? If you have things that enable you to exile things from your graveyard, we saw that in the intro. And 1 mana tappers are always playable.
Absolutely. Rating wise, I'm not over the moon, but I'm going to say this is better than something I'm unhappy to put in my deck. So 5.5.
I think I'm tentatively a 6. The tricky part is the 4 mana slot clogged? A lot of times it gets that way, in which case that would probably go down a little bit.
All right, half point, not too bad. Bearer of Glory, 2 mana for a 2/1. During your turn, this creature has first strike. We see that a lot lately. And then for 5 mana, creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. Also, you can do it multiple times. Not super relevant, it is expensive, but it's possible. I have enjoyed those sorts of pumpy creatures. Abzan makes a fair number of tokens, so they're going to be pretty happy to do this, as well as the Mardu clan is going to be pretty happy to have sort of a pumper on the top end, and one that can really get into combat. Mardu is going to like this first strike.
Note that it's just creatures you control, so it includes itself, so that turns us into a 3-power first striker if you're using the ability. And I really like the way they've started using the during your turn first strike on creatures to just kind of minimize the fact that first strike is so overpowered when blocking.
Yeah.
Since, and you the blocker already has such significant advantages in combat in Magic that I like the fact that they turned this into more of just an attacking only.
It's
ability.
another wheel that they can turn in set design, because this is meant to be Mardu attacks. So they want to give it first strike because they want to help you get over the combat line, but they don't want it to be so overpowered that you can also just, like you said, you turn around and use that on blocks when you're on the back foot. You need to be punished somehow. If you're going to be the hyper aggressive deck, you also shouldn't be able to defend super well. I think that's stylistically, design wise, very good.
Especially at a rarity like common.
Yeah.
Because if you can get if you got like 3 of these and sit there with 3 2-power first strikers, you can eat anything.
Rating wise, let's keep it moving here. I think this card is solid. I think Mardu is going to really like this. I'm going to call this a 6.
6 as well.
I almost think we need to like expand our number a little bit, because I feel like the amount that we're playing with is like, this is not filler, like slightly better than filler, 6, and then we're like, oh, bombs like 8 unless they're winning games. I don't know. I feel like that gap between 6 and 8 needs to be bigger. Maybe filler should be 4.
That's what half points are for.
That's true. All right, next up.
We get Clarion Conqueror, 2 and a white for a 3/3 dragon. Flying. Of course, it's a dragon. Activated abilities of artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers can't be activated. So I guess this is a hate dragon as opposed to a hate bear.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at what kind of artifacts there are, but it hurts you as well as your opponent. But I feel like when you're playing these kinds of things, you're usually pretty fine with that. I think a 3/3 flyer for 3 is excellent. So
I think that's just what I'm grading this on.
Yeah.
That the other part could be useful. There are planeswalkers. There are some powerful things that
want
it's
dragons.
Just a bonus.
There's the
sure. Yeah.
Behold a dragon nonsense. I'm gonna say this is a 6.5.
It's amazing the 3 mana 3/3 flyer isn't like an 8 anymore, because it should be. But yes, it's like a 6.5 at this point.
All right, Coordinated Maneuver, 2 mana, you get to choose one. It'll deal damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker, or you can destroy an enchantment at instant speed. These are always good, especially with the Mardu mechanic, whatever the hell it's called. Mobilize, thank you. You're going to have a lot of creatures on the board. Multiple archetypes make a ton of tokens. So yeah, this is going to be pretty solid removal for white. 7.
I think this is better than it usually is for the exact reasons you just said. We just have pretty much 2 white decks in the format, and they both are going somewhat wide.
Yeah.
And then I just love being able to get Destroy Target Enchantment into my deck for free.
Yeah. Lately it's been artifacts. There's just been so many good artifact sets, but we'll have to see how relevant the enchantment stuff is here, but there's always some sort of pacifism effect. There's, always some sort of like
Oblivion Ring type thing.
So let's tentatively mark it as a 7.
Dalkovan Pack Beasts. 3 mana, 2 and a white for an 0/4 Ox with Vigilance and Mobilize 3. My first thought looking at this card is it's got the Mardu watermark, and an 0/4 seems pretty weird for Mardu. But you get a free attack with Vigilance with an 0/4 that just gets to make 3/1/1s when it attacks, and you still have a pretty decent blocker.
Yeah, and we saw some other stuff too that like sacrifice those tokens post combat. So yeah, even if they block two of them, they probably can't block them and this profitably. So hopefully they're just like you're attacking into a 3/3. And so you're going to get in a damage or two, and then you can sack the other one post combat, get something cool out of it, some sort of like bone shards effect. Who knows? But I think this is going to be something that Mobilize 3 seems really high. So I can't imagine Marduk's not looking to do this.
Definitely, and the weakness a lot of times in these type of mobilized type mechanics is right. It requires that creature to attack, which sometimes sends it to its death. So having high toughness is not exactly a bad thing there.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's got vigilance, so you still get that
Yep.
nice big booty, that chonky donk on the way back. So I'm excited to have an 0-4 on blocks.
I think I like this at like a 6, maybe a 6.5.
Oh, okay. I was thinking 5.56. I could see that too. Yeah,
There's something with
I'm gonna
there's
say
something with
5.
this. Yeah, there's something with this card that just I don't know. A 3 mana 0-4 at uncommon makes me think this is tis tested well. This card.
Interesting. Yeah. My concern is that it's going to be. This feels like one that needs the synergistic side of it to really pay off because it's not that scary if you're not able to sacrifice or do something with it. If you can't keep the value from those tokens or ensure that this doesn't die so you can continue getting it over and over again. So my concern is that outside of Mardu, for example, it might not play as well as just like a generic white card might.
Very well could. I guess I'm kind of hoping that we see, since both major white archetypes involve black, that there's some sort of, like you said, bone shards or sacrifice synergies there. But yeah, maybe there aren't enough of those, and then yeah, this would certainly go down in value.
Or like Jeskai, maybe that's you're not going to get
That's
any
true.
of those
That's true.
Orzhov options, and I feel like this could just be more borderline unplayable. So I guess I'm taking the average of those two.
That's fair.
All right, next up we have Descendant of Storms, a 2/1 for 1. Whenever this creature attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, it endures 1. Interesting. That's a triggered endure every turn if you want it, and it gets bigger and scarier when you're on the aggro. This is really cool.
This reminds me almost exactly of like Usher of the Fallen from, I think it was Kaldheim, where it was like 1 mana 2/1 with Boast, 1 and a white, make a 1/1. So basically, Boast required you to attack for it to work.
Yep.
So I mean, this you do have this you do have the option to, instead of making the token, to make it bigger, which might make it able to keep attacking. So it's definitely a little bit of an upgrade on that card.
Yeah.
But I remember that card being pretty scary, especially on the play. Right, you play the 2/1 attack, make a 1/1, kill something, make another one. Like there's that can snowball.
Yeah. This is interesting. It's also going to fuel different mechanics. Like if you don't care about the token and you just kind of want to, Mardu, then that's cool. If you're more like Orzhov focused, then you can like make those tokens go wider. We saw the Lord already that can pump for 5, so you have a little bit of bonuses there. Yes, this is a cool card. I think this is going to see play in Mardu, but probably less in other white archetypes. So oh, it's a cheap card for Jeskai, I guess, if you're trying to double spell. Like, you
Yeah,
probably want some number of things like this.
and it's interesting 'cause it's got the Abzan watermark, so they seem to think it's an Abzan card.
Yeah. Well, Abzan does care about tokens, and going tall. So yeah, I mean, it kind of fits a little bit all over the place. So I'm gonna say this is a well-rounded card that'll see some play, but I also just tend to hate 1-drops because I feel so not impactful late. So
Definitely, that's the curse of the 1-drop.
it's impactful for a 1-drop. So I'm gonna go on a limb here and say it's like 6.
I have it as a 6 too. It there are going to be card games where this kind of just wins you the game because they have a slow start, you're on the play on turn 1, and you're so far ahead.
You just want to curve 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
You might end the game.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
Dragonback Lancer, 3 and a white for a 3/3 human soldier with flying and mobilize 1. Pretty straightforward Mardu card. We just saw a 3 mana 3/3 flyer, which we liked. Didn't have mobilize 1, but that was also rare.
Yeah, getting mobilize 1 is not super valuable because you have to assume it will be. Hang on. This can it says flying, so it can attack every turn. You have to assume that that one mobilize is like pretty easy to block, but where you start to get multiple creatures with mobilize, right? It adds together. But if this is your only attacker, you're probably not getting anything out of that mobilize.
Agreed, and I just have to kind of poke a little fun at target player in the chat because he got. This is not the 8th card. This is the 7th card because collector card number 1 is a colorless planeswalker.
Yes, this says
We
collector
started
number
at 2.
9.
He was saying that people had missed 8 cards because this is 9, but we started at 2.
That is also true. Yes.
I do agree with you on the mobilize 1 not being great, but I do like mobilize on a flyer because it's easier for that to be able to continue to attack.
Well, so that was kind of my argument. It's not like I kind of countered my own argument, like saying that mobilize 1 is not good, but when every creature has mobilize 1, it gets good. Does that make sense?
Sure, if you can definitely be attacking with multiples, they can't block everything.
Exactly. So if you see a lot of just commons on your entire curve that just kind of have just a little mobilize 1, just a little something where it's like individually none of these are valuable enough for me to be excited, but once you have them all, like, yes, get very excited. Rating wise, I think this is fine. Oh man, it's harder to rate cards right now because they are so synergistic within like the different clans, right?
It is. I think I've got this at like a 5.5.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that. We will say 5.5 as well. Duty Beyond Death. We've got 2 mana. As an additional cost to cast this, sacrifice a creature. Instant speed. Creatures you control gain indestructible till end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Holy shit. Instant speed, so you can like use your mobilize, right? And then whatever one they block, you just sacrifice and do this. This is nuts. This is game winning.
Yeah, this card's really good as long as you're going wide enough to make it really good. And even without that, you can still use it to like win a combat and blank a removal spell, basically, or something like that.
Yeah.
I also just like the theory of the, using like the creature using itself as like a human shield almost, right? Sacrificing itself to protect the unit.
Yeah. I think this card's very, very good. Like I don't think I'm ever cutting the first one of these. And I think it could drastically swing a game from like, I can't lose from this spot. Oh shit, they played this. I'm going to lose. 7.5.
I'm going to go a little lower, but I think it's very good. I've got it at 7. I do think it's probably not going to be great in Jeskai just because you will not have nearly as many creatures as you will in the, it's fantastic in Mardu with Mobilize. And Abzan, you're making some tokens too, so it'll be very good there. I think it might just be missing at that third home for me to put a combat trick that high.
Honestly, that was my average, right? I was thinking 7 and 8, and that's why I went
Okay.
7.5 because I think it can just be absolutely game breaking in 2 of those 3, like you mentioned. I wanted to put it at 8 for those. All right, next up we have Talia Vess. We have Elspeth, Storm Slayer. 5 mana for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many are created instead. Okay, so we have like a white doubling season effect on a static ability. That seems perfectly reasonable. +1 to create a 1/1 white soldier token, which is effectively 2. 0, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those gain flying until your next turn. So you just play this and everything, and then you win because everything's flying.
Yep.
Or you can pay -3, destroy target creature an opponent controls with mana value 3 or greater. So it protects itself with plenty of loyalty to spare. This is nuts. This is game ending, protects itself in multiple different ways. It ends games the turn it comes onto the board, potentially even during like board stalls. This is a 10.
It's effectively impossible to not get like at minimum a 2-for-1 with this card because if you just come in and +1, even if they kill it right away, you've still made 2 creatures.
It's hard to
Um,
kill it through 2 bodies as well.
I guess technically they could kill it in response to activating it, so you'd only get one creature then.
I
Because
mean, not a whole lot
but
of lightning
still,
strikes usually, right? Like
no,
instant
you need like a
speed,
hero's down. You need like a hero's downfall type card or something.
which is
Um,
typically, printed out rare. There's not a lot of things that kill planeswalkers at instant speed, so
but
slam dunk 10.
all agreed. It's a 10. Every ability on this card is great. Fortress Kinguard. 1 and a white for a 1/2 dog soldier. When this creature enters, endure 1.
More dogs for
Sure.
the
Very
dog decks.
simple.
Let's go.
Very, very simple card. You either get a 2 mana, 2/3, or 2 power, 3 toughness over 2 bodies.
Yeah, I think that's very fine, reasonable stats. It also synergizes with the counter or the tokens, depending on what you want to do. This seems like a 5 to me.
Perfectly reasonable card to play that you will not be excited about. 5.
Yeah, I feel like for a 2, it seems incredibly impactful. It's just not game ending on its own. So like I feel like in the 2-drop slot, I'm pretty happy. It might be a little bit higher for me, but yeah, it seems fine. Furious Forebear. 2 mana for a 3/1. Whenever a creature you control dies, while this card is in your graveyard, you may pay 2. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Huh. So you have to have a creature die and the mana open to recur this, but if you do, you get a cool, aggressive 2 mana 3/1 over and over again, which is good because Mardu wants to get into combat. They want to turn things sideways, and then they get, you probably trade down for your 3/1, but that's okay because it comes back. I like it.
Yeah, and in Mardu, it's, you almost always will have creatures dying every turn because of Mobilize. So that stuff sacrificing at the end of turn will trigger this.
Yeah, true. So I say it's doing exactly what the cards want to do. It just doesn't seem particularly powerful. So I think it's a 5.
A little higher. I've got it at 5.5, but not a ton.
All right.
Lightfoot Technique. 1 and a white for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains flying and indestructible until end of turn.
I always like these. It's super flexible. You get to protect your biggest bomb from removal. You get to swing for a lethal attack at the end when they're not expecting it. You get to win combats. You get so much stuff here. It's a nice combat trick if you can ever fit it in. I think this is a 6.
Feels like every combat trick is going to feel lame compared to Duty Beyond Death since we started with that bomb of a trick.
Yeah.
But this card's good anytime you can blank removal for only 2 mana, or win combat with it, or do both. It's great. Yeah, 6 seems good for me.
Loxodon Battle Priest. 5 mana for an Elephant Cleric. 3/5. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Oh. This is like that one soldier that made standard. I mean, that was a 2-drop, right? But like,
Luminarch Aspirant.
yeah, it's just an elephant aspirant.
Yep, and 2 versus 5 is pretty significant.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's also an uncommon, right? We're talking
Yep.
limited gameplay, not
Agreed.
not standard all-star curve out,
Not a
kill
card.
someone.
Yeah, not a card that's made a home in Vintage Cube.
Yeah, I think this is a good card. I'm interested in this. I think this will play very well. There's cards that say like the first time something gets counters on it, do a special thing. So getting to trigger that over and over again, even if you're only in partial counters colors, I think you're still going to want this. So I say this is a 6.
Yeah, you just need to remember that you need other things because it can't target itself.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be too big of a problem in white decks.
Not a problem. My white decks usually have is creatures, so.
Mardu Devotee. I believe this is part of a cycle of devotees. We have 1 mana, 1/2 human scout. When this creature enters, scry 2. And then you can pay 1 generic mana to add red, white, or black mana. Activate only once each turn, so you can add one of the Mardu colors.
So he filters, he scries. A little low impact, but I feel like when you're a 3-color set, you like it when your creatures also act as fixing. It doesn't tap to do the ability. So you can still attack, you can still whatever you need to do with him. I think that's fine.
I think this card is fine. It's just, if you're going to want this card, you're hard 3 colors as opposed to like 2 and a splash, and you just don't have much fixing. And yeah, you'll put this in your deck. But otherwise, it's just kind of eh. Maybe if you have some sacrifice outlets too, cheap sacrifice enabler with scrying isn't bad either.
Yeah, I think this might see play a lot more, but I'm not exactly like excited for him, but just the combination of it being on a body, the scry is like, a partial card draw effectively, and then even if I'm full 3 colors or 2.5, either way I feel like I want that extra fixing attached to a body that's not like I'm not sacrificing pips in the mana base or rocks that I can't attack with or do anything post turn 5. So I think this is just a 5, but I think it's a 5 I'll play quite often.
I mean, it's 5 as well.
All right, next up we have a 2 mana instant as an additional cost to cast this spell, Behold a Dragon. So you have to reveal one or choose one that you control, and then it'll deal 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. If a dragon was beheld, you get to also gain 2 life, which is a little bonus, but not necessary. I like that the bulk of the power of the card is just as is, 2 mana, deal 5 to attacking or blocking, and I think that's a fine way to rate it. So this is white's premium removal. We give these usually 8s.
You didn't want to try to say the name?
Nope.
Osseous Exhale?
I'm gonna mess it up, so.
That's fair.
Why you gotta call me out like that?
Because it's fun.
Mean. All right, who wants to take over as co-host?
You mean for you, so you can go play WoW Classic?
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. You don't know me.
I got this at yeah, it's an 8 certainly for what we've seen so far. We haven't seen any like O-ring type effects that would maybe knock this down a little bit on removal, but it's still going to be good. And hey, free life gain every once in a while. There's a lot of dragons in this set, so
Yep.
And every color's got them.
And I'm very happy, especially in my like Mardu attacking decks. Anytime you have cheap removal that can kill a 5 powered creature or 5 toughness creature, like we want to be going sideways. We want to be going wide with creatures, and I still need to remove blockers. So I think this is a great removal spell for what it is.
We got Poised Practitioner as our first Jeskai watermarked card here. 2 and a white for a 2/3 human monk with Flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and scry 1.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean it's very much calling back to the original Jeskai mechanic was prowess, which now we see all over the place, but that was a climb mechanic back in cons. So just growing in combat from casting spells, scry is great to just have as a bonus.
It's funny because I feel like this card would have been like a 7 once upon a time, like just a 2/3 for 3 that had like such a relevant long-term, like long game plan that can really get good even though you played her on curve. But like now this just feels like a 5. Like this is just what you should expect from every card that you play in your deck at this point in time. She's not particularly overpowered. She's just a good card that goes in the 3-drop slot that does her job. And so I think that's just a 5 at this point.
It probably is. I do like the idea of a play pattern of this card. If you're in Jeskai with cheap spells, like if you have some 1-mana spells, you play this on 4, and then immediately play the 1-drop, and you trigger Flurry right away, and you immediately have a 3/4.
Yeah.
Plus the scry one, so you can, this does count towards Flurry. If it's the first spell you play this turn, you can still get that trigger right away.
Absolutely.
So
I think you have to pay those pesky 1-drops.
You do. Yeah, maybe it's on 5 and you play with the 2 or something, but I agree. I think it's probably a 5 still.
All right. Rally the Monastery. 4 mana for an instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you've cast another spell this turn, so that's pretty cool. Another flurry-ish benefit. Choose one. Create 2 1/1 white monk tokens with prowess. That's pretty good for 3 mana.
Go monk seals.
2 mana. What?
I said go monk seals.
Oh yeah, monk seals. Up to 2 target creatures you control each get +2/+2 till end of turn, or destroy a target creature with power 4 or greater. This is awesome. I like every mode here.
We have for years played 4 mana to instant destroy target creature with power 4 or greater on its own. And this
Now it only costs 2.
Yeah, this can be cheaper. It can be useful when they only have small things or nothing.
I mean,
And
even if this were a sorcery, I'm still pretty happy with this card. At instant speed, get out of here. This seems nuts.
the fact that it's like, you might be able to get it for only, well, I say for 2 mana would leave you some mana to trigger prowess, but this would have to be the second spell, so you'd be pretty expensive at that point. But still, you're getting 2 relevant bodies.
Yeah, you're getting 2 bodies and triggering your other prowess cards. Casting, it's easier to cast more spells. It's highly impactful. It's incredibly flexible. What's not to like here? This is an easy 7 for me.
Yep, I have the 7. I'm almost tempted to go higher, but
yeah,
it's probably none of the modes on their own are probably powerful enough.
Rebellious Strike, 2 mana for instant. Target creature gets +3 -0 or +3/+0 until end of turn. Draw a card. I like the cycling aspect. Really good for Jeskai. Not super great for other things. It's not giving first strike or anything, so it's just pumping, make creature bigger, trigger prowess, draw more card, play more spell, trigger flurry, be happy.
And it's a callback to original Khans of Tarkir with Defiant Strike, which was just single white for 1/0 until end of turn, draw a card to try to trigger your prowess stuff.
Those were really cool. They also had a lot of stuff like that in the heroic sets, where it was just like the goal was to target, not to necessarily give a big boost on its own.
For sure.
I kind of think that this is a playable card. I'm going to give this a 4 just because I think some decks want it and then many decks won't. So it has that ability to go up, but I feel like this is going to be a thing I'm cutting more often than not.
It's a white card that feels like it only really goes in Jeskai.
It's like a 23rd playable card that you really aren't happy to run in most of your decks.
Yeah, exactly. You're always okay with it because what's the worst case? It cycles. You can even cycle it on your opponent's creature if you have to, like an end of turn to try to hit a land drop or something.
Yeah. So what is your rating?
4 as well.
All right, moving on.
Riling Dawnbreaker. So this is our first Omen here. So it's kind of like Adventures. You can choose to cast the Omen side. So the Omen side is Signaling Roar. 1 and a white sorcery that makes a 2/2 white soldier token, and then you would shuffle this card into your deck. Or you play the creature side, Riling Dawnbreaker, 4 and a white for a 3/4 dragon with flying and vigilance. Beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
I mean, it's flexible.
So I would love this card as an adventure, right? Because you would get, in one card, you get 2 bodies.
I don't mind it not as I think as an adventure, I think it's a little too powerful. Yeah, I think it's a little too powerful. But I love the idea that I can cram my deck full of 5-drops and not get punished. And it helps fill that 2-drop curve. So it's sort of a flexible card. I would effectively just put this in the 2-drop slot because I feel like these days you want a lot more 2s than you used to. My number of 4, 3 to 5, 2s, I'm pretty happy. I feel like in most recent sets, we're like, most decks want 5 or 6, and then some decks really want 8 2-drops or more. So I like the idea that this is a 2-drop in that slot that then just when drawn later, it's just better. So I'm pretty happy with these cards, even though they're not as cool as Adventures. But I think this is a good design.
For sure, the fact that we always talk about 2-drops that hold value in the late game, 2 mana creatures that either can grow or you can do something with. Here you got that, right? It's the 2 mana creature, the 2/2 doesn't grow, but if you draw it late game, it's still valuable because you got a 5-drop.
Mm-hmm. So rating wise, I think this is solid. I don't think either side is particularly good, or particularly amazing, but both are playable. I'm gonna say this is a 5, but it's probably not something I'm cutting super often. I like that flexibility a lot.
Yeah, I think I'd probably have it at like a 5.5. So I'd probably have both sides as a 5, and then because you get both in one, you get a little bit of a bump.
Certainly the 2-drop's not a 5 anymore. 2 mana 2/2.
Maybe not. I'm thinking I guess you're only still making 1 body. I was thinking like you're making tokens, which is relevant, but not really because it's costing you a card. So
the dragon having vigilance is cool.
Yeah, so, maybe you're right. Maybe a 5 is more appropriate.
All right, next up, Sage of the Skies. We have a 3 mana human monk, 2/3. When you cast the spell, if you've cast another spell this turn, copy this spell. It's a flying lifelinker. Oh, hello. So you really want to be casting more than one spell in this archetype anyway, and then you just get a nice big bonus of a free flying lifelinking 2/3. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's funny how because of the way magic rules work, right? You get all these like flurry-esque abilities that can't just be flurry, because if they care about being the second spell, like they occur on the stack, and you can't just have it as an ability word with flurry.
I like that you can play with both sides of it. It's a flurry card that just doesn't happen to have flurry, which is nice. Yeah. This card seems sweet. And even if you just play it as a lifelinking 2/3 flyer for 3, I'm still pretty happy. So 7.5.
Yeah, this just can easily flip a race, right? Now they can't even really attack with those mobilized creatures into you, because you're just going to gain 4 life from blocking 2/1/1s.
Yeah. Yeah, the vigilance. Oh, this one doesn't have vigilance. The other one had vigilance. But yeah, the lifelink's insane.
Yeah. So yeah, I think what did you say, 7.5?
I said 7.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Salt Road Pack Beast, 6 mana for a 5/3. It costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control. That seems fine post-combat when you haven't sacked your mobilized creatures yet. When this creature enters, draw a card. Yeah, it seems great. Well, I mean, by great, I mean like whatever. Put it in my deck. It's fine. 5.
5 seems right. Maybe gets a little bump in Mardu, like you said, because of the mobilized tokens.
All right.
Smile at Death, our first mythic of this color. 3 white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures.
Elspeth's a little insulted.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about Elspeth. My bad. Second mythic of the set.
We just forgot about that 10. That 10.
That card was absurd. That card was absurd.
Hey, it's an enchantment. It's a mythic enchantment, which means there's probably a cycle of things like this, which means that removal enchantment thingy is probably a lot better too. And also this card seems pretty cool. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get to return 2. They don't get finality counters on them. They get bigger. This seems awesome.
Taking a quick look at the cards we've seen so far, 6, 7, 8 of the 15 creatures we've seen so far are power 2 or less.
Yeah.
I get it. It's white. They tend to have smaller creatures, but so is this card. And it's obviously a Mardu card based on the, or designed as a Mardu card based on the watermark, which is all about, speed, not size. So you're going to have a lot of creatures you can just send on suicide missions, for lack of a better word, get those mobilized triggers, get some extra damage through, and bring them right on back next turn.
And even if you're starting from 0, like you've been board wiped or something, you just don't attack for a turn or 2, and you just get to keep bringing them all back. This seems pretty busted. Game winning for sure. It's a little bit of a slow build, so it's not going to save you if you're behind, like by a significant margin. But it's going to snowball and give Mardu the extra oomph that it needs to get over the top, specifically. And I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of even like Abzan decks that would play this. So this feels like a 9. Certainly going to be game winning.
I think I like it for now at an 8.5, just because we still haven't seen the sizes of the other colors in the set. But if we start seeing a bunch more power 2 or less, I would certainly bump it up. Good power 2 or less cards.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a split rating, right? If you have a lot of 2-drops, great. If you don't, not something you're going to be super interested in. But I don't think that necessarily lowers the power of it, of its potential. But it is kind of one of those cards where you're either going to include it or not. It's like, it's not a removal that's sort of on a sliding scale. It's either interested or not. So it is probably closer to a split rating. And that split rating is probably like 9 and 0.
Yeah. Sure.
All right, next up. Starry-Eyed Skyrider, 3 mana for a 1/3 with flying. When this creature attacks another target creature you control, gains flying until end of turn. Attacking tokens you control have flying straight up, so your mobilize is insane. This is the best version of this card we've ever seen. This is insane. It's same mana cost, 1/3 flyer, leaps something and makes all your tokens flying base. Your mobilize is nuts. Your big Mardu tokens, holy smokes.
Yeah,
Or
so it leaps your
not Mardu, Abzan.
Absen. So it leaps your mobilize enabler, your mobilizer, and then all of the army it mobilizes also gets to fly as well.
That's insane. This is game winning.
Yeah, definitely needs to be. You need the tokens, but like we've seen, Mardu and Abzan are going to have.
You don't need the tokens though, right? Like, what if you're just
for it to be game winning?
Yes, but like I've definitely like the tokens is a new thing. I've definitely won plenty of games with the normal version of this, which just leaps one thing.
Oh, the card is certainly above playable on its own, even if you don't have the tokens. I think it doesn't get to that higher echelon until you get the critical mass of tokens in your deck.
The without the token clause, I usually rate that card at like a 7 already anyway, because I'm just winning games with it. And then if you have tokens, this just becomes even nuttier. So I'm still gonna say like I'm just gonna put it in the middle, 7.5. But if you're like the tokens deck, it's an 8. If you're not, then it's like a 7.
Yeah, I think I'm just probably a little lower at like a 7, but it is a very good.
All right, Static Snare, 5 mana with flash. Cost 1 less to cast for each attacking creature. Important to note, they don't have to be your attacking creatures because it has flash. When enchantment enters, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. So you just have to attack to do it. This is really nice for Mardu, right? It really incentivizes you to have a lot of attacking creatures, trigger your mobilize, and then remove their blockers. If you are like really slow Abzan, then you're going to get punished and have to pay full cost for this a lot.
Which case, I mean, you're still okay with that. 5 mana instant speed effect. Yeah, you'd rather have it cheaper, but odds are you can get them to attack with something and get it for 4 mana. It doesn't have to hit the thing that attacks.
Yeah. Rating wise, I think that it's still good. Probably it's an enchantment, so it can get removed by that pretty easy, cheap removal spell. I'm sure there's going to be a Naturalize or a Broken Wings or something. So probably just a 7.
I get 7. Yep. Maybe there's some troublesome artifacts this can deal with as well.
Storm Beacon Blade, 2 mana for an artifact equipment, +3/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, draw a card if you control 3 or more attacking creatures. Equip 2. That's a pretty cheap equip cost too. That's big. That makes all your non-sacrificing tokens really big and scary. There's really cheap flyers here. This equipment feels solid to me. And I think the days of equipments being bad are gone. Like as a designing principle.
Yeah, as a default, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this card's fine. You obviously can't equip this to mobilize tokens because you never get an opportunity to. I guess
that's why I said non-sacrificing tokens.
Yes. Oh, yes. But you can equip it to the thing that is mobilizing the stuff, and then if you get enough creatures, you can get that card out of it. Mm-hmm. So, and at least make that thing maybe trade as opposed to where it might have to suicide otherwise. So yeah, I think this is pretty strong. Mostly when I see equipment, I care about the ability, but the number one thing I'm looking at is the equip cost. And 2 is reasonable.
I think the draw card is really, really cool. So I'm going to say this is a 6.
I like it at 6 as well.
All right. We have... Go ahead.
Stormplane Detainment. 2 and a white for an enchantment. When this enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. So just straight banishing light.
Yep. Same mana cost and everything too. Why do we change the name?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, these are always really good.
Yeah, it is word for word the same card.
They changed the flavor text.
Yeah.
7.5.
But it's a great card, 7.5.
Great. Moving on, we have the Sun Pearl Kirin. 2 mana, 2/1 flying with flash. When this creature enters, return up to 1 another target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it was a token, draw a card. Huh. That's cool. Like sort of anti-removal. You can redo your ETBs. And it's just a flash flyer, 2 mana, 2 power flyer. I'm here for this. I think this is a great card. 7.
I like that you don't end up like a lot of times in a lot of decks. You're not going to end up just like holding this thing, waiting for a spot to use it. Whereas, especially if you're playing with Mardu, end of combat just flashes in, bounce back one of those tokens, and get a card out of it. You're either getting a card like for blanking the removal spell, or getting a card that way.
Yeah. I think this is just very playable. I think it's a great curve. It's going to allow you to attack every turn. I like it.
Yeah, I like it as a 7.
Teeming Dragonstorm, 4 mana enchantment. When this enchantment enters, create 2 white 2/2 soldier creature tokens. When a dragon you control enters, return this to its owner's hand. Huh. So I would like to start by just saying 4 mana, sorcery speed, make 2 1/1 white soldiers or knights or whatever is a card we've been very happy to play in the past, regardless of whether you have other dragons.
My only problem with this is, why are they 2/2 soldiers? We ever had 2/2 soldiers before?
I mean, I think soldiers is the... I agree it's a little funky, but like it's just like the same text as like samurai, I guess, and soldiers just happen to be the namesake of what they're trying to do here.
I'm just gonna. I know I'm gonna see a soldier token like on the other side of the field and just assume it's a 1/1.
Yeah, I'm assuming they'll be special. They'll look different.
Yeah, yeah. But, people play with their own tokens, and I don't know.
They should have just made
just weird.
They should have just made it a 2/2 knight or a samurai or something else that's already a 2/2.
Or spirit, because they're variable in this set, right? They're endure or they're XX, compare whatever the endure is.
Yeah, flavor-wise, making everything a spirit's kind of weird.
It is a little weird, but...
Anyway, I like this card.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right on the 4 mana, 4 power worth of creatures on its own. There are going to be dragons in this set.
I feel like if I have no dragons, I'm like, this is an okay card to play. It's like probably a 4.5. Like, I'm not super happy about it, but if I have 1, 2, 3 dragons, throw it in. Let's go.
Oh, definitely.
I'm gonna say this is an easy 5 with the ability to play like a 6.5 if you got some dragons.
That sounds right. Yeah, I think I like that.
Tempest Hawk, 3 mana for a 2/2 flying bird. When this creature deals combat damage to a player, that should be easy enough, you may search your library for a card named Tempest Hawk, reveal it, put it to your hand, then shuffle. A deck can have any number of Tempest Hawks. Huh. That's kind of cool.
I mean, we see this every once in a while. We saw it with vampires in Ixalan, but those didn't have flying.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 3 mana, 2 powered creature. That's okay. Lets you get a few more of them out of your deck, which is cool.
How many do you think you need for this to be good?
I think if you have just the one, it's like a 4. I'm just like not super happy to have it in my deck at this point, which is sad because Windrake is dead to me at this point. Yep. And that I miss those days. I want Windrake to be good. Like, this should be a very playable card, but I feel like at 3 mana we have so many better options these days. So then it's gonna make the cut when I'm just short on 3 drops. So it's like a 4. It's like I don't want this in my deck. The question is if I could have as many as I wanted, am I doing it? I think the answer is yes. 5 or 6. But
maybe.
Like the heir apparent was the same thing for like Bloomborough or whatever. I never wanted to go for it because even if I managed to get it, I still wasn't super excited.
It's one of those things where, like, if this was like some of the older versions of these cards where you could just get, multiples of them out of your deck at once, it's fine. But like if you play this attack, and then pull it out of your deck, and then your next turn you draw another one, you're like, well, that was a wasted draw. Like, it feels terrible.
I mean, I feel like once you have 3 or 4 2/2 flyers on board, then you're just fine anyway. Like, you're gonna draw any creature is fine. You still just got a card out of your deck for free. So I think if I had 5 or 6, I'm pretty happy, but the problem is I just don't ever want to take the first one.
Yeah, for the logistics of drafting it is certainly not easy because unless you get that first one like 13th pick or something in pack one, and then you can start grabbing more.
Yeah. I'd have to get all of them like for free, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say this is like a 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
United Battlefront, 4 mana. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to 2 non-creature, non-land permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest onto the bottom. So artifacts, enchantments, this is constructed. This is not like you just named the 2 things I have the most of in my deck. So no thank you.
Not gonna lie, until I finished reading the card, I was about to just be like, you could get 2 Tempest Hawks.
You
But then
can't.
it's like, you can't. But then I was like, no, you can't even do that.
You could get 2 of those equipment that you were kind of on the fence about putting in your deck.
You could get 2 Stormplane Detainments and Banishing Light 2 things.
I mean, yeah,
That's about all I got.
if my deck
That's about all I
has
got.
7 banishing lights, then sure, throw
That's
it
about all
on
I got
in.
here.
But the chances are I have 1.
Yeah.
And
And it's not my top 7 cards.
I'm usually pretty happy about just that 1. Voice of Victory, 2 mana for a 1/3 with Mobilize 2. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. That's kind of nice. Rare. I could see this being a new commander staple as well. But like, I like that you're getting 1/1s. It's got some booty, so it can attack pretty well. Prevents your creature, your opponent from doing combat tricks or removal. It makes -2/-2 type combat tricks less valuable. So yeah, this card's solid. I'm gonna say this is like a 2-drop I'm very happy to have in my deck. So that's like a 7.
Yeah, I'm probably a little lower on this. It
It's not
feels a
super
little
high
bit
impact,
low impact. Yeah.
but like it's high impact for 2, right? For 2 mana.
Yeah, I
So
think it's still good.
that's kind of
I'm
how
just
I
like it.
rate things. Is not necessarily like the impact in general. It's like the impact in the mana slot.
Yeah, I think I'm just a little lower at like 6.5.
Fair.
Also, just we'll break the down. Someone in chat pointed out that United Battlefront is probably a play on Coco. Well,
Oh,
look at the top 7, and it definitely
absolutely.
is. But it is so much worse in every single way. It's not even an instant.
I mean, it's a build around, right? Like I'm sure that you're supposed to Coco for something else. And
Yeah,
I don't know what that thing is, but like I'm sure someone's going to make a deck and I'm sure it's going to
yeah,
do well. I don't know what we're doing with
yeah.
it, but like,
It's
some
like,
sort of like Agatha's Soul Cauldron type something deck, right? Like you're just using
yeah,
it
some
as a way
weird
to get your
enchantment things.
pieces. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Coco was the first thing I thought of when we read that card.
yeah.
Next up, we have the Way Speaker Bodyguard. 4 mana for a 3/4. When this creature enters, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. It has Flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell, tap target creature an opponent controls. That's cool. Little value, tap to some stuff down, solid body. This is like a 6. I like what it's doing.
Yeah, and assuming you're trying to play this a little bit later than turn 4 because you want to have, something in your graveyard to get, you get a 2-drop back and then you can play it right away and it fed itself the trigger flurry with that second spell.
Agreed. What's your
But yeah,
rating?
I'll give this a 6.
All right. That is it for white. What'd you think, Yanks?
White is what white often is. A lot of little creatures, which we would have, not surprising from seeing the mechanics with a lot of attacking stuff and mobilize. It's going to be aggressive, but not as much support for Jeskai as the other two. As the other two,
I was
as
actually thinking
Mardu
the
and
opposite.
Abzan.
I felt like we had a lot of Mardu
A
and
lot of Mardu,
a
definitely.
lot of Jeskai, not a lot of Abzan. Am I crazy?
Um,
Even some of the Abzan cards I felt fit better in Mardu.
that I definitely agree with that.
And we saw a
But
ton of
just
like the play to second spell, if this is your second spell, like that felt pretty supported to me.
yeah, there's been a few in a row near the end, but it's weird with Jeskai because to some degree, I guess like every cheap card feels like it could be a Jeskai card.
Yeah. A lot
But
of
we'll
good
see
spells as well, some cycle
yeah.
cards. Yeah, I liked Jeskai in this. I thought it was very well supported, but
I,
go ahead.
I think it's interesting that theoretically the all the clans are 3 colors, but the primary color, each clan has a primary color, and white's is Abzan, and it seems like we think that was probably might have been the least supported
Yeah.
in white.
It might just be that like Abzan has the like lowest synergy identity as well.
Sure.
Like it could just be like generic good cards, but
Yep.
let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Make sure you guys check out our sponsors down below. We have cool stuff if you're looking to pick up any of your Cons of Tarkir. Nope, that's a lie. Tarkir Dragonstorm cards. You guys can get 5% off. Use code MNG5. You get a free NerdGirl token. And again, that 5% off, you'll be helping us support the channel and helping me create fun content like this. So thanks for watching, guys.
And if you really want Cons of Tarkir cards, they probably have those in stock as singles as well.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And again, leave us a comment. Let me know what you guys thought of white, and we'll see you guys in the next video for blue. Thanks again for watching. Bye.